Welcome to this episode of Cook with Craig. If you enjoyed the last one, the pork belly, this one's going to be even better. Today I'm going to be doing a spring onion bhaji with a smoked cheese sauce. This is my little nod to an eats meets west type thing, because as we all know, the North Coast is synonymous for its spice and stuff that came over with the trades back over in the days. So I'm going to bring a little bit of that into a little bit of what goes on in this country with the smoked cheese from around this area as well. So let's get on with that dish. For this dish, you've got spring onions. So I'm just going to julienne these up, which means cut them into fine ribbons. So I'm going to use all the spring onions. We're using the white as well as the green. A nice sharp knife will give you a really good cut on this. And you want to make that julienne as thin as possible to give a really crispy, thin bhaji once you actually put this dish together. So if you're liking what you see when you watch these videos, guys, please subscribe to our Priority Club on the Lumley Castle website. That's lumleycastle.com, and somebody will get to taste this at the end. If you want to be one of those people, subscribe, and you never know, you might be the person sat with this dish in front of you trying it for me. So I'm going to julienne this up. It's very important to have it very thin. This dish is all about the preparation. It's very, very simple to put together for the service, but the preparation is what takes the time. You've got to be really careful with the knife skills and make sure that you get all the spices and flavours that go into it balanced very well as well. Got a very busy day going on in the Lumley kitchen today. You might be hearing a bit of noise in the background. That's my other chefs working away, getting prepped up for all the dinners that we've got going on tonight. So I'm just going to pop the spring onion that I've julienned into the bowl. And then just for a different texture and different flavour, I'm going to add a little bit of red onion to that as well. So I'm going to julienne this up very finely as well. There's a big difference between the way a chef cuts an onion to the way a house person, I don't want to call them housewives, but a house person cuts an onion. If I was to ask my mum, for instance, to cut this onion, she will cut it crossways like this. And I'll show you what you get if you do that. You get slices of onion like this, which are no good for what we want really, because they're all different sizes, as you can see. But if you ask a chef to slice an onion, he would slice it crossways like this, because then all the slices of the onion that you get are going to be exactly the same size. So like this. So I'll just show you very quickly. As you can see, all those slices of onion that we got there are nice and even and nice and same size. There's not one bigger than the other because I've cut it across the onion rather than with the onion. So I'll just do that for another one and then we'll go for it. So that goes in the bowl as well. Just another half of onion going in there. So that goes in our bowl as well. So we give those a bit of a mix together to get the red onion and the spring onion incorporated. And this is where the magic happens. This is where the spice goes into it. So in these little dishes here, I've got some mild curry powder, some turmeric, some garlic powder, some self-raising flour, all important salt and pepper, and some eggs to bind it all together with. This recipe can be made gluten-free if you substitute the self-raising flour for gluten-free self-raising flour. You don't get quite as good a product because gluten-free flour is a little bit grainy and it gives you a bit of a cakey texture almost by the way it's finished. But if you were to require gluten-free, then we can actually do that for you as well. So what I'm going to do is get this spice mix going. So we want to make sure when we put these in that we're going to get a nice liberal coating of spice all over those spring onions and the red onion that's going on in there first, because then that would cling to the spring onion and the moisture in the red onion to allow the flavour to actually come through once we cook this as well. So then I'm going to put the self-raising flour in there. This is a bit that brings the bhaji together once you add the egg, and it adds a nice little light fluffiness to it as well, because once the flour hits the fryer, then it activates the baking agents in there, and you get a nice kind of almost cakiness to it, like sponge, and it kind of get nice little air bubbles in there when it's cooking as well. So most important, salt and pepper. So a good sprinkle of salt in there. And a good crack of pepper, very, very important to when you're cooking seasoning. And again, with pepper being a spice, you can add quite a bit to this to give a real peppery back note to it. Then we're going to pop our eggs in. Just going to pop 3 eggs in there. Okay, I'm going to mix this together. Now you can see that's coming together really nicely in there. I don't want to mix it too much because I don't want all those spring onions and the red onion there to start collapsing. I want them to still keep the shape, so when we put it in the fryer, it actually gives a nice, like, kind of free shape to it. So the more you mix it, the more dense this mix would become. So all I'm literally doing there is almost folding the eggs and the flour and stuff into there. And you can see that's quite a loose mix, but you can see, look at those flavours and look at the colours going on. We've got the red onion, we've got the yellow of the turmeric and the curry powder, and we've got the red of the red onion and the nice green colour going on in there of the spring onion as well. So now, that's ready for the fryer. So we've made our bhaji mix, that's just on the side ready to be deep fried. We're going to get onto the sauce that we're going to go with this now. Very, very simple, 3 ingredients. Double cream, smoked cheese and lemon juice. So let's get our little induction stove on here and our pan on. So I've got the cream in the pan. So you can see there we've got the cream in the pan ready to go. I'm just going to bring this to the boil. It's very, very important you boil the cream, because if you don't boil it, it's not going to cook it. So then when we add the cheese and lemon juice, your cream will split. And when you add the lemon juice to cooked cream, it actually thickens it up also, which gives you a little bit of a better texture to your sauce. So let's get this going a little bit quicker. So I've already grated my cheese here, ready to go into the thing, but all I've got here is just a nice little block of smoked Westmoreland cheese. So there's a nice little story that goes with this dish. Originally it was called East Meets Westmoreland. That's a little take on the film that was out a little while ago, East Meets West. But this is kind of a merging of 2 different flavours that you wouldn't really expect to go together, which is the spiced bhaji and a cheese sauce and a smoked cheese sauce to go along with that as well. It's something that you wouldn't normally put together, but in my head I've got quite an imagination for flavours, and it works really well. People that have had it have thought, oh my god, that doesn't sound very good, but once they've actually eaten it, the flavours, that combination and the flavours that come together are absolutely amazing, and I'm sure you'll find that out too if you come and eat it. So we're just going to bring this cream to the boil now, not far off. These little induction stoves are absolutely fantastic if you've got a chance to buy one. They're very, very clean, very, very simple to use. They do take a special pan to use on there, which is stainless steel, which needs to have magnetic properties, but once you've got one of these, you'll never go back to cooking on gas. Cooking on induction is the new cooking on gas. So as you can see, that cream's nearly to the boil there. That's only taken less than a minute probably. You need to be very, very careful, because once it does come to the boil, it doesn't boil over also. So here we go, our cream's boiling here now, it's just about to come up. There we go, I need to remove that from the stove there now before it actually does boil over. Now I'm going to add my cheese to this. So a good handful of smoked cheese in there. And I'm going to pop that back on the stove. I'm going to turn it down a little bit low because I don't want it to boil this time. I just want that cheese to be able to melt into the sauce nicely. And also without catching on the bottom. Okay, I'm just going to turn this off now because that's boiled and that's ready. That's a really nice consistency in there that I can see. So salt and pepper, and then the all important lemon juice. The reason why we add lemon juice to this sauce is because if you have a fat, which is the cheese and the cream, you need to have an acid to combat that. Because once you get the fat onto your tongue and your taste buds, the fat coats it and you can't taste much else. So when we add an acid to that, it cuts through the fat and allows you to actually taste the product properly. So we're going to good squeeze of lemon juice into there. This lemon juice will also act as an enzyme, which will then thicken the cream up a little bit as well. So that's pretty easy, that's our sauce done. All I need to do now is just taste that to make sure it's good for seasoning. Perfect, let's get on with frying that bhaji. So I'm going to take a spoonful of the bhaji mix and just pop it into the fryer. This fryer is set on to 180 degrees, and as you can see, it's just going to fizzle away nicely as it goes in there. What we need to do now is just keep an eye on it and just keep turning it to make sure it gets a nice even coating and nice and golden brown on all sides, as well as cooks really nicely in the middle. Okay, so we've got our bhaji out of the fryer now. What I'm going to do is a little bit of salt on this, just to give it a little bit of extra seasoning just on the outside, and then we're ready to build our dish. So we've got our smoked cheese sauce. So we're going to put a nice pool of this in the bottom of the bowl, because you need a lot of sauce to soak up all the flavours from this bhaji. So then the bhaji just going to sit on top. I've got some nice micro coriander, which is going to give us a really nice hint of aniseed and those Mediterranean or Asian-y flavours that are going to go on in there. So a bit of micro coriander. And then in this bowl here we've got some curry oil, which will really emphasise and bring the flavours together from the smoked cheese sauce to the bhaji. So I'm going to have a nice drizzle around there like that. And there we go. Couldn't be any simpler, could it? So we've got a spring onion bhaji with smoked cheese sauce, micro coriander and curry oil. If you subscribe to our priority club on the website, which is lumleycastle.com, you might be able to come and try this for nothing. Give it a go. Thank you very much for watching.